Welcome to Daily Practice with me, Nikhil. Hope you're well. And today, as the name suggests, 21 41 21. 21 things I wish my 41-year-old self could tell my 21-year-old self. So yeah, this is one of those talks where someone says, "If only I could tell my younger self what I know now," and then proceeds to sound like they're writing a Hallmark card. So this is not one of those things. Yeah, we're not doing that. This is daily practice, which means there's no lectures, there's no cliches, just playful mindfulness meeting the mess of the world. So today, I've got 21 things I wish myself right now could whisper into the ear of that 21-year-old self of mine who's clueless. So let us begin. What is the first one? The first one is your body keeps score. At 21, I thought my body was indestructible. I used to eat everything, sleep few hours, run around, do all sorts of antics. And also, I was lazy. So it was kind of the opposite. So I used to have high energy and then low energy. And right now, when I look at it, at the age of 41, my knees are filing formal complaints. So it is difficult to know that we are indestructible or we are destructible. So at the age of 21, when you were running around, it was like there's nothing that can stop you. Nothing is stopping you now, and something stops you. So your body is not a machine; it's a diary, and how we treat it in these early phases is important. So I wish I knew that I could rest. I wish I knew I should be eating right sometimes, not being forced. So everything you do kind of gets written in your joints, in your gut, your posture, and even your mind. And 20 years later, you'll read it back. So, if your body is writing a diary today, what does it say? 2. Friendships are like plants. So at 21, I thought friends were forever. But most friends don't die in fire, they die of drought. The ones that survive decades are not the ones with constant drama. They're the ones you water. A text, a message, a coffee, a shared silly meme. So that's sunlight. So that's what we want. So instead of being that true friend for one person, which you think is your true best friend, and then them having to change their life course, and then suddenly you are left with no one. Ask yourself, who is waiting in that quiet soil of your life, needing just that one drop of water from you today? 3. Money is freedom, not meaning. At 21, I didn't know much about money. I thought it was just something you get by just being an adult or doing some things, and it was the price. It was something you had to earn. It's a thing which all adults use for some reason. And then I learned this is just a tool. Money buys you lots of things, but what it does is it buys you space, choice, a plane ticket out of a bad situation, but it does not buy you meaning. It doesn't buy you joy. It doesn't buy you equanimity. It doesn't buy you peace. Nobody ever said my life changed because I upgraded my sofa cushions. But a lot of people have changed because they upgraded their mind. So Instead of how much do I make, ask what kind of freedom does this money give me? Is it moving me in the direction of what I want? Am I spending it on the things which I want to enjoy and be part of in the future? 4. Love isn't fireworks, it's slow cooking. 21 love was fire, butterflies, drama, sparks, etc. All of that. Everything was so dramatic. And now love is more like a slow cooker. Very boring sometimes, but it nourishes you. And fireworks light the sky, but the stew keeps you alive. So, are you chasing that intensity or building depth? 5. Learn the art of feelings. We are taught that knowing our feelings is a bad thing. And at 21, I hated all the feelings I had. It was just intrusive, it was just not welcome. It arrived in awkward times. So I clung on to, or tried to push away all of it. And then everything became difficult. I became more and more into a shell. I kept a lot more things within me. And then that comes back to the original first point where the body keeps score. So when you are not expressing yourself fully, you are keeping those unwanted emotions. So at the age of 41, when I look back at the 21-year-old me, full of life, full of opportunity, full of ideas, but some ideas. The main overarching challenge I saw myself was I did not pay true attention to feelings. So learning the art of feeling the feelings was a moment in clarity when we started to live life mindfully. 6. Rest is not laziness. At 21, I bragged about all nighters. At 41, I brag about 8 hours of sleep. And that is a fact. Rest isn't a break from life, it's part of life. Even the universe rests, stars collapse, galaxies pause, season cycle. Why do we think we are exempt? What story are you telling yourself about rest? That's what you want to be challenging. 7. What I would say to my 21-year-old self at the ripe age of 41 right now is pain is not suffering. And this one hurts literally. At 21, I ran from pain, distract, numb, press, suppress. At 41, I still slightly walk away from pain. I see pain as a letter from the body or the heart. It says, look at what's going on here. Look at what is going on here. The worst pain isn't physical, it's avoiding that message. So, what message is your pain carrying? And it can be physical, it can be emotional, and psychological. All pains are messages. So, just going back onto the rest. Yeah, that's a good question. What did rest? What did I think about rest when I was 21? I think rest was cheating. Like you are shying away from life. You should be full on all the time, every moment, or do something that the adults value you or think that you are doing something. So if you sleep for more than 4 hours, you are not studying or you're not working hard enough to get a job or etc. So for me, I thought if I rested, then I will just forget everything I know. So that was the kind of difficulty I faced when I was resting. And I think I carried that throughout. And it is only recently now I'm more inclined to rest. Number 8, this is a new one. Quantum truth. You are probabilities, not certainties. Now, this is an interesting one. 21-year-old self had no idea of all this. Quantum physics says at the smallest level, reality isn't solid, it's probabilities, a particle in many states until it's observed. Life is the same. At 21, you think choices you'll make will lock you in forever. At 41, you realize you're a wave of probabilities. Each choice collapses into one reality. But most people live like they're already collapsed into one reality, fixed, defined, done. But you're not. You're a field of possibility every single day. If you're not fixed, if you're in a wave, if you're living life as a wave, what new reality could collapse into being if you shifted your attention today? 9. Comparison is the thief of joy. At 21, I did not have Instagram or any of the social media apps because I don't think anyone had that. But comparison was real. And it was more visceral. It was more in your face comparison. People used to compare me to probably someone else they knew, and they would say it to my face. They'll be like, "Why are you not like that?" And that would instantly create a separation from me and myself and my truth. But you will never win at this comparison game. I've tried so many times. Every time I think I win, I find somebody else who's better at me than in some other unique trait, and then it keeps going. Even elite athletes, like the ones who have achieved everything, they compare how their businesses are doing with other business people, or they compare how they have the wrong shoe size, like all sorts of things. But the idea is you compare your behind the scenes to someone's highlight reel. This is the problem we all face. We compare what we know, which is what we know from ourselves, to what people show us. And I'm learning, and this is not something I've learned also, I'm learning that when you start to notice that, joy sneaks back in like sunlight through the blinds, just like I'm having right now, starting to get sunlight. So whose highlight reel are you confusing with reality? Movement is medicine. At 21, I think I moved to look good or do something to as part of something you have to do, like play a sport or like run around. Like it had to be for a reason. You had to do something. At 41, I think movement is an everyday thing. Walking, stretching, swimming, dance. Not to show off any of the six packs, whatever that is, but because movement clears the fog. It keeps you engaged with the world. It rewrites our nervous system, and this is powerful to know that when you just walk for 45 minutes, the nervous system moves into parasympathetic nervous system, which means you are relaxed. So what movement today would feel like medicine? 11. Failure is compost. Failure felt like I was not worthy. Every time I used to fail at something, and I didn't fail particularly badly at anything. I was okay with like most of the things. Sometimes that is luck, sometimes that is little bit of knowledge, but most of the time it didn't really register. But at that age of 21, when you fail a lot, you feel like you are not doing the right thing. You feel like you don't deserve anything. The thoughts get really, really ugly. And what I've learned over time, that those failures are the things that give you stories, give you ideas. Everything rotten becomes soil for the next chapter. So, whatever came through in the past, yes, it may have been the biggest event, it may have been really difficult at that time to accept it. And that's also part of another lesson which we all learned, is that we have to feel our feelings. When we feel our feelings in that moment, it will be difficult. But once we work through it, there are lessons learned. And then, what failure, a quote unquote failure, in your past has already turned into fertile ground? Just ask yourself that question. What has turned into fertile ground right now? 12. Attention is the new currency. Forget Bitcoin, the world's most valuable thing is your own. It's attention. And yeah, this is a new realization. At 21, I didn't even know what attention meant. I thought it was attention meant you stand with your feet together in schools. So, and the opposite was stand at ease. So I didn't understand that attention was something we had. So it was not even a part of my life. Adults used to say, or people used to say, "Oh, pay attention." I was like, what is that? How can I not listen to adults or people who are slightly older than me telling me how to live my life? I didn't even know where my attention was. So that came through practice, that came through a lot of mindfulness, and I started to know what attention is, where your energy is. Wherever attention goes, life flows. So, who and what and how and where and why are you spending your attention right now? And you may be wondering, I remember a lot of things from my 21-year-old self because I live that life every day. Every day I think I'm like a 21-year-old. And there's no difference, like apart from few gray hairs. When I look at myself in my mirror, I see my 21-year-old self a lot. And everything not in a sense of I feel young. I think it's just a mind state. It's like I am so immature. I feel like I don't know anything. I feel like I'm still learning. And that is why I remember, I go back to stories about my younger self all the time. And it's something which I'm learning to grow out of, and also forgiving whatever has happened, and also having some fun with it. 13. The ego is a brilliant liar. Number 1, if I get a good degree, I'll be happy. Then the ego said, if I get a good job, I'll be set for life. And the ego said, if I impress this person, I will be happy forever. Then the ego said, you are never going to be happy. It kind of messed me up. And now I haven't seen enough of it to know. The ego never is satisfied. It always has an if. It's like the dodgiest salesman selling your car that doesn't even exist. So, you all know what an ego is. What lie is your ego selling you this week, right now? What is it selling you? Number 14, we do this all the time in our practice here, and I'm glad to say it has come up. Stillness is superpower. Stillness is not to be confused with not moving. Stillness is being able to be in any situation and have your full self available to engage with that situation. So at 21, silence or stillness felt awkward. I couldn't, depending on how I was, I couldn't engage with what I'm doing for long enough time. Maybe a little bit of different aspects of reality playing, but also I didn't even know what my stillness was. So, stillness or the way in which I used to get energy was a bit off. So, silence felt like failing or cheating. Again, it comes back cheating. Why is it coming back cheating? It's because we think there is a right way to live. We think there is an ideal way. And only when we get still and calm, we start to see clearly what reality means. What is reality? Reality is something we create. And if you don't believe me, can you tell me your reality when you were 5 year old? Were you 4 year old? What was your reality? You don't even remember. So you created this idea of what it is to be living right now, what it is to see yourself, what it is to be in this world. So stillness shows us that. So for the next exercise, try one silent meal. Notice how the food tastes when you're not filling it with air or chatter. 15. I wish my 21-year-old self knew this, but they are knowing it right now. That gratitude rewires your brain. And I have to explain what rewires mean also, because I don't think my 21-year-old self understands what rewiring means. It just means we can create or recreate ourselves through the practice of gratitude. And it's in science, it's in philosophy, it's in religion. All the all the science, SIGNS, science, show us that gratitude, practicing being grateful, has a big impact on life. And it actually shifts a lot of ways in which ourselves we react in the world. So when we practice gratitude, we often start to feel lighter. And the reason we don't practice gratitude enough, or we give up after 3 days, is because we don't believe it works. If we believed it works, we would have done it. But the idea, the thought, just doesn't feel right because of all the conditioning, all the layers we have put ourselves on, trying to get this idea out of our head. You often confuse gratitude with being nice. Gratitude doesn't mean like you're being nice all the time. It is actually noticing what is here and being grateful for whatever is happening. At 21, I thought gratitude was just, I didn't even know what gratitude meant, sorry. I thought it was corny, but I don't think I really remember much about what gratitude meant. I thought it was just, I don't think I heard about gratitude until like last 15 years, or not even 15, like 5 years. So now I know it's medicine. So can you name 3 things right now that are small, ordinary, and precious. Number 16. Identity is a costume. And this is a difficult one. At 21, I thought who I am was fixed. And I knew later this year, or knew earlier this year, that identity is a costume. You can change outfits. So until recently, I believed I was a certain kind of individual, somebody who is working in a certain field. So I felt like I was that person. But then recently, I've changed. So identity, I moved away from the corporate business person identity to someone else now. Somebody who's a healer, somebody who's a wellness advocate, somebody who's a talk show host, somebody who's just chilling, somebody who's relaxing, somebody who's helping people, somebody who's asking for help. So there's a lot of changes in the identity, and it's a costume. We keep changing it. So we, instead of trying to stick on to the dress you have worn, why don't we just recycle it or clean it or get it dry washed, or what is it called, dry cleaned, and then come back and wear it. Some people get stuck playing the same role forever. The achiever, I am the achiever. The rebel, I always stand up to things. The victim, but you're not the costume. You are far, far bigger than that. You're the actor. You can change. So the question here is, which role are you tired of playing? 17. The universe has a sense of humor. I know this one is a interesting one. Ever noticed how life gives you the exact test you were avoiding? That has happened to me so many times. I was literally avoiding a traffic jam. So like I was going from here to another place. I was thinking, okay, the motorway. I looked at the motorway and I was like, oh, traffic jam. I will avoid the traffic jam by going through a different route. And then, guess what? I was stuck for far longer than it would have been if I had just taken the route up front. Now, that is what I mean. That was just a simple story. I know I'm just breaking it down to simple things rather than existential things, because we don't need too much of that. We just need some humor. We just need some fun. So yeah, the universe throws us things. And how many times have you met the person who you didn't want to meet in a party as soon as you entered? How many times? Many times. So the universe has a sense of humor. And what I use in this situation is something I've learned over the years is, yeah, we can laugh at this. We can laugh at this. We can be, this is it. So can you laugh at what is happening with the universe instead of like crushing it, instead of blaming it? It's just what it is. 18. You are not your thoughts. This is a difficult one. Every thought felt like the truth. And now I know the thoughts are weather. So every thought when I was younger was like, I am bad at this. Well, felt like this was the truth. And now I know thoughts are not me. They are just passing, shifting, dramatic but not permanent. So if you can see through your thoughts, who is the one seeing? Not the thought. So next time the thought comes, you ask, am I in the storm or the sky? 19. Last few. Generosity is a strategy, not a sacrifice. Younger me, yeah, consider generosity as something like a loss. Like I've been forced to pay this much to some charity, etc. But I think generosity is far more than just paying money to charity. I think it's a attitude, it's a mind state, and I see it as now as an investment. So what I would say to my 21-year-old self is, all those generous moments you try to give your potential crush, or like being sympathetic to them, all of that, all of that was generous. But you did it out of different premise than for one which is a strategy or something which is your attitude. So give kindness, energy, support, it multiplies. People remember, life flows smoother. So what can you give today without keeping score? Just think about it. And 20. Growth is not linear. Everything we know is weird. Everything we know bends, loops, stretches, and subjectively, so does our lives. So, a 21-year-old self, I knew that the life was going only in one direction, which was up and in a straight line. And a decade vanished, and it was not up. It was predominantly in all over the direction. Sometimes it circled back to where I was. Sometimes it would just end up in a squiggly line. The point I'm trying to make is the growth doesn't just come linearly. Like you put in the effort now, you may not see the result until later, or you may see the result instantly. But growth keeps happening at different stages, and growth happens when you are ready and open for it. So that is the crucial aspect. Once your mind is ready and open for growth, you suddenly change. Until then, you will start to keep trying new things, keep changing, thinking that nothing is happening, nothing is happening, nothing is happening. And then what happens is we give up. And once we give up, the game is over. So if we give up, we stop the growth. The only way you will lose is if you give up. So, growth is not linear. Just keep going. It may look like a loop right now, but trust me, it is working. And the more you keep going, the more probability that you will succeed in whatever it is that you do. So, today, do one thing with full presence. Notice how that has an impact on you. And the last thing I would like to say to my 21-year-old self is that you are enough. And this is the hardest. You are enough who you are, where you are, why you are, when you are, and however you are. I still forget this sometimes, but here's the truth. You don't need to be fixed, improved, or validated. You're not behind. You're not failing. You're not missing the point. You're already enough, exactly as you are. In fact, you are more than enough. In fact, you are abundant creature. You have all the wonder and joy in front of you. Go and experience it. So can you let that belief be with you for today? This belief transcends any number, any age. So it can be right here, right now. So there you have it. 21 things. Some playful, some painful, some cosmic. If my 21-year-old self actually heard this, he probably would have rolled his eyes, and gone back to eating a pizza or something. But maybe, just maybe, he would have paused for 1 second and felt a seed being planted. And by the way, that seed is being planted in you, in me, right now. And that's the practice. Not to change the past, but to plant seeds in the present. And then maybe our future self, in the future, when we have this conversation, to the 41-year-old self of mine, we would have different lessons. And that's the idea. So thank you for taking time out in this daily practice with me, Nikhil. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you learned something. Even if you didn't learn anything, I hope you took some time for yourself to do the things you want to do, to be the way you are. And you are amazing. And I will see you again soon. Take it easy. Until next time. Bye.